There is a difference between thinking and overthinking. Here's the thing. So many times people skip the thinking and go right to the overthinking. That is what we're going to discuss today. Hey there, I'm SD Rappaport, a brain engineer for entrepreneurs to help them reduce procrastination and improve how they think so they can focus on what is most important in their business and grow their business with more ease. Today, we are going to discuss the difference between thinking and overthinking and how to make sure you are thinking when you need to without overthinking and without it taking extra time, extra stress, extra anxiety that it doesn't need to. So let's start with defining what is thinking. Thinking is when we use our thoughts, we use our brain, we use our logic to come to a conclusion, to process information, to make decisions, to figure out what we need to do. It is a very logical process. Overthinking is when we are using our thoughts and the information that we have, and we are coming to conclusions and making decisions and trying to figure out what we need to do more than we need to. And it stems from an emotional process, from worry, from stress, from anxiety. We're like, I made a decision, but this might be the wrong one, so I need to go back and think about it. Or I figured this out, but I don't know if it will actually work, even though I went through everything and I figured it out. And it's a very emotional process. So if we understand that thinking is a logical process and overthinking is an emotional process, it is now really clear to see how a person can jump straight to overthinking. Because if they are thinking from a very emotional perspective, from the worry, from the anxiety, then they are approaching the situation from an overthinking perspective with the emotions and instead of the logical part of the thinking in it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for emotions. I think emotions are a beautiful thing. We need emotions in our lives to really experience joy, to really experience happiness. We need emotions, right? And also the not such good feeling emotions, we can use them and we can leverage them, and they are part of what make life so colorful and beautiful. However, emotions are not the place for thinking. Emotions are a place to sit in. Emotions are a sign for us. Emotions are a place for us to experience. It's not something that we want to leverage to use in our thinking, because then it takes our thinking and turns it into overthinking. Now, I'm all for thinking. We have a phrase in our cohorts. It's called just a moment, let me think. Every single time I give a client brain exercise, every single time I ask them a question, it's take the time to think. It is okay. You can take the time. You should take the time to think. We live in like such a fast-paced world where everything like needs to happen now and everything's quick and everything's instant and everything just like has to happen. But we actually need to sometimes slow down to think, so that way we can go faster. So there is a line between where you are sometimes thinking and you're trying to figure something out to where it turns and becomes an overthinking situation. We're going to discuss 3 points on this and how you can make sure that you're really staying in the thinking part so you can actually take action without actually overthinking, right? Because you don't need me to tell you how overthinking takes a lot of time, a lot of mental energy, a lot of like emotional energy, because it uses a lot of the emotions part, and it's not very beneficial. Or I haven't yet come up with a time where overthinking is a beneficial thing. So if you do think that there is a time that overthinking is beneficial, put in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. But here we go. 3 points. Number 1, understanding when something is thinking versus overthinking is a skill that you can develop. So as you pay attention to it, as whether am I thinking or overthinking, in the beginning, it might take you a little bit time to be able to figure it out. But as you do it more and more and more, it's like a muscle. You'll become better at it, and it'll be easier for you, and it'll be faster for you to realize like, hey, actually, I'm overthinking now. I am not actually thinking. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, if you look out when you are thinking, there is a point where in your body, there's almost like a shift. There's like a change of energy. Things completely shift inside you, and it might feel different for you than it feels for your friend, because every person is different. But there is a shift that happens when you go from thinking to overthinking, because you're going from the logical to the emotional. And if you can identify that shift in you, then you will be able to figure out really quickly. You'll be able to catch yourself very fast going from that thinking to that overthinking. So next time you find yourself thinking, take like a moment to just identify, like, how am I feeling? And when you find yourself overthinking, take a moment to identify, how am I feeling now? And what you'll find is, as you pay attention to it, you'll be able to recognize that shift. And like I said previously, it is a skill, it is a muscle. As you do it, you will get better at it. Now, here is the third point, and this is a cue, like a signal for you. If you're the type of person that goes straight to the overthinking without the thinking, okay? If you find yourself every time you are trying to think about something, trying to make a decision, you are trying to even listen to somebody talking to you, right? And trying to like figure out what to do, and you find yourself in a very emotional state, you are approaching this from an overthinking perspective, okay? You want to, again, develop that skill, develop that muscle of recognizing, is my thought process coming from an emotional standpoint, or is it coming from a logical standpoint? Does that make sense? Obviously, when we're talking to someone and we're having like a heated debate, there could be a lot of emotions here. But is the emotion about the thought process, or is the emotion, is the passion about the topic? There's a slight difference. And once again, it is a skill, it's a muscle that you are going to be able to develop over time. So that is it for today between thinking and overthinking. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another video. Bye for now.